In this session, we are going to learn about database operations or database programming with Python. First, we need to understand what is database. Database is an organized way of storing data and storing and accessed electronically from a computer system. So generally, we store data in an organized way, and we use SQL to interact with a database. What is SQL? Structured Query Language is the definition, and we can use SQL to interact with DB, either to create tables, read data and update data, delete. A lot of operations are possible. You can see below are the operations possible. Okay, we'll do this most of the operations like CRUD. We'll say create, read, update, delete. Now we need to know how to create. What are the different types of database available? We need to know a little bit about that. These are the sample databases available being used in industry. MySQL and SQL Server or MS SQL, this is from Microsoft, and PostgreSQL, there is one more database, MongoDB and Sqlite. Sqlite is this is a database which we use in our Android phones to store data locally. This is a database which is being used for that purpose. Now we need to learn these two terms, DDL and DML. What is DDL? Data definition language. Data definition language means database will have organized way of storing data. So we need to define what is that organized way. What is that definition? How the data is going to be structured in database. That's called DDL. What are the DDL statements? Create, creating database, alter for modifying database, drop is to delete the database, truncate is to empty the database table. All these operations can be on table and database as well. Tables are like the small container inside database. And comment and rename. DML is data manipulation language. Just like using this, we have stored the database. If you want to read or update or do some operations on the stored data, we need to use DML, which is select, insert, update, delete, merge, and calling procedures. These are all data manipulated language. Okay, now we have seen what is SQL, and if you are familiar with SQL, it's well and good. Otherwise, go and read a bit like what is SQL and how to use and basic syntax of SQL, and come back to this session. Here I'll be teaching you how the SQL basic syntax is getting populated when we are dealing with Sqlite. In this session, we are going to explore Sqlite because that doesn't need any additional module, and it doesn't need any server installation and all. This is a flat file storage. That entire database will be as a file in our path. So we'll explore this for a beginning stage. Later, once you're comfortable with this query, you can explore these databases. First, you can start with MySQL and MS SQL and so on. These are the different databases, and it has its own features and positives, negatives, and all those points are there. So you need to decide which database to use and where to use. Okay, now we are going to explore Sqlite. To use Sqlite, Python has a built-in library, Sqlite 3. So you import this module. First, we need to create database. Then we need to interact with that. If the database does not exist, Sqlite 3 automatically will create that when you open a connection. So let's see. I'll show you one tool, Sqlite Manager, sqlitebrowser.org. So you download this and keep in your local folder. So I'll tell you how to create database tables, and at the same time we'll see how DDL statements are getting populated when we are creating database. All these things I'm going to show now. So this is my downloaded file, and I'm going to open this portable version. Okay, this is the interface. Now I'm going to create a new database. I'm selecting new database. It asks the location. I'm selecting this one, my code location under session 5. This is the one we are going to create, ATM database. Say you want to replace it. Okay, since it already exists, it's asking that. So no problem. You can give a new name and create 1 DB. Here I am going to create 2 tables. This table I am creating here to demonstrate you how to set up the base for our final project. A final project for this session, I have, as we have already informed, we are going to mimic ATM functionality. To do that, I'm going to show you how to create the tables for that, database for that here. So from there, you can write your code to mimic that functionality. To interact with, first we need customer information. Then we need to store transaction information. So let's say you're involved, you have registered with the bank, you have your customer information updated from their side. Then this is a very simple database logic, so don't worry about security and all those stuff. Our primary purpose is to play with database. That's it. So first I am going to create a customer information, customer info. This is a table. You can see the SQL statements are getting populated here when we interact with this interface. Create table customer info. And I'm going to add a field which is ID, customer ID. I'm specifying customer ID and it's going to be a number. Then these are the fields: not null, primary key, auto increment, and unique. This not null, it won't allow you to insert empty data for the customer ID. Primary key is the primary identification key for this particular table. AI means auto increment. When you say this is a number, then whenever you insert a new record, this column will be auto incremented automatically. So this is a unique value. If you set this true, you cannot have duplicate value for this column. Now I am saying auto incrementing. So primary key is automatically getting selected. You can see here, create table. Okay, this is a column definitions. You can imagine Excel table. This is first column, customer ID, and auto increment, integer type, primary key. I have one more field, that is customer name. You can store that as text, and it can't be unique. In the same name there can be multiple customers also. And next one, I'm going to create mobile number. This I am storing as text, it's text only, but I am making this as unique because one customer can have only one mobile number. So we can identify the customer by their mobile number. Okay, this is the only 3 columns we have now. If you want, you can create more number of columns here. I am saying okay. Now you can see one table got created. These are the 3 columns. You can try browsing data. These are the 3 columns. We don't have any data now. Let's write these changes so the database can update. Now we have this database and we have this table, customer information. Let me come back to our code. First, we need to specify database path. Let me create one variable. Where is this database? It's inside session 5 we have created. 5, you can say dir ATMDB. So let me get this full path. I am saying this raw string because when you say raw string, it won't give you an error for this backslash. Otherwise, you need to escape this. So let me give raw string. Raw string will consider all these backslash as backslash character. Okay, now let's create a connection. Database connection. I am using my module dot connect. Connect to what? The database equal to database path. That's it. Now we have connected to our database. To execute your DML statements or DDL statements, we need to create a cursor. Cursor is nothing but one executor which executes your SQL query on database, and it helps us to return or get the results back from SQL. Let's create one cursor object, connection dot cursor. So this connection is the one which we have created from this connect method. So this connection object will have cursor. Now let me select the customer information query. What is this query? I am going to use select query. Select star from, what is my table? Customer info. There's a very simple SQL command which selects all the fields from customer information table from our database. Okay, now I have my query ready here. I need to execute this. To do that, I am going to cursor object, then I am calling a method called execute. For execute, I need to give SQL. You can see the argument is SQL. So this is my SQL query. I am sending this here. Now this query got executed, but I need to read the data which has been fetched from database. So how to do that? Let's simply print cursor dot fetch. Here fetch all and fetch many and fetch one. Fetch one will fetch one record and fetch all will fetch all the records, and fetch many, you can see what are the size of data which we need to fetch from that. So let's now use fetch all. If your database has huge set of records, then you should avoid fetch all. So now let's try to print fetch all. I'm running this. You need to give the full path for this database file, atmdb.db. Now let's run this. You can see it returned empty list. So fetch all will return list. Now let's insert some sample records to this table. Browse data and selecting customer info, and I'm creating new record here. Okay, what's a customer name? John, let's say. Mobile number 9111. This is a random number. 44810 number. Okay, done. Now let's write these changes to this database. Now let's run our script again. I'm running this. You can see this is the data which we have stored in this database table, customer info. So this is how we read this data. Okay, now let's see how to insert the data to this table. For that, you need to have a query, new customer. Insert is the command into, okay, insert into which table? Customer info table. I'm going to specify what are all the columns I am going to add. Customer name, comma, what are the columns you have created? Customer name, mobile number, name, comma, mobile number. This should be exactly as what you have given in the column names. And this values, so for these columns, what value I am going to provide. So this is a string, so I am mentioning inside single quote. Second, also text. Here I am creating our placeholder, customer name, comma, mobile number. Now I have my string to be formatted. Now let's try to insert one. Execute, new customer. Now I have placeholders. I need to pass value to this string. So I'm using format, and I'm saying customer name equal to Arokya. Okay, then if you have more number of columns, you can align like this. When you're passing the parameters, you don't need to mention backslash. You can directly come to new line. Customer name and mobile number equal to something like 1 2 3 4 5 6 9 8 7 0. Okay, that's it. Now it will store this record to database. Let's run. Okay, it fetched, it ran this as well. Now let's try to refresh here. It's not coming here. What happened? Whenever you do database operations, like insert or update, you need to commit the changes. To commit the changes, you need to connection dot commit. You need to understand, when you execute SQL query, we are using cursor object. When you commit, we are using connection object. So let's run again. It went successfully. Now let's refresh. You can see the newly inserted record here. So we have inserted record to database and we have read information from database. Now let's see one more, update. So let's see the query, SQL query for update as well. Let me comment all this out. Customer update query. Okay. Now, if we have read the basic syntax of SQL before coming to this session, you can see update and which table I need to update. Then we have one keyword set. What's the column name to be updated? I'm saying customer name equal to, this is the new value, comma, if you have more than one columns, we can specify like this, number equal to single quote. If you don't specify to which record we need to update, then all the records in the DB will be updated with these new values. So you should be very, very careful when you run update SQL statement. So I'm going to mention where customer name equal to Arokya, or we can specify this as well like this, existing customer. Otherwise, since our customer ID is primary one, we can use the ID to identify a customer. Okay, let's say customer ID as a placeholder key. Here I am giving placeholder mobile number. Here customer name. Okay, now we have our update query ready. Let's see how to run this. Customer update query dot execute. Okay, this is my update query dot format method I am calling, and I am going to pass all the values required. So customer name, I am going to provide my full name, Arokya Arunathan. Now for second, you can align like this so it's easy to read. Mobile number equal to reverse, something like that. Okay, now we have one more value which is customer ID. We don't know customer ID, so let's check from this browser. My customer ID is 2, so I am going to mention 2. Since customer ID is number, we don't need to give this single quote. Okay, now let's see what this. First we can populate this also, query. Okay, now let's print what it populated, then let's see whether it got executed or not. I'm passing this query here. I have just assigned to another variable and using that variable here. That's it, nothing complicated. Okay, this is cursor dot execute. Okay, now let me run this. Yes, what it says, there is no column ID because that's a customer ID. Here we have mentioned just ID, it should be customer ID. Let's run this. You can see the statement here, update customer information, full name and mobile number, where customer ID equal to 2. Now let's read and check whether it's correct or not. I'm going to enable this select. Okay, let me run. you can see my full name and the latest mobile number got updated for this record. Okay, these are the possible operations. There is one more, delete. I'll show you that as well. Customer delete query. What is that query? Delete from, this is the table, customer info. Here also you need to specify where condition, otherwise this will remove all the records in the table. Customer ID equal to customer ID. So let me run this from our cursor. Execute customer delete query dot format customer ID equal to 1. So now I am removing the first record and committing. So let's run. Okay, it removed. We'll see whether it removed or not by disabling this and printing the actual records. You can see there is only one ID. There is only one record. You can refresh, it will be gone. So that's how we do create, read, update and delete. And one more thing is, once you are done with all your DB operations, you should not forget to close this connection which we have created. So this will leave open connection to database. So it's always advisable to close your connection once you are done with all your database activities in database. So this is basic database operations from Python. So this library can be different for different databases. MongoDB, it's PyMongo, and MySQL we have PyMySQL. For MS SQL we have PyMS SQL. So like that we have different modules for different databases, but the logic will be same. You need to create a connection, you need to create one cursor, then you need to run your queries, and we should update the database using commit. So you try this out and let us know if you have any doubts and clarifications in the comment section so we can discuss about it further.